Test cricket action. I don't want to call it riveting because I don't think that word is merited here. This was Test cricket, not at its finest. I mean, the only thing I can really say after watching today's match was don't smile because it's over, cry because it happened. And I think that's what I'm going to say even after this Test match and this series is done and dusted. Because I had low expectations, but holy moly, what have we just seen? So, a quick match summary before we then get into the nitty gritties. West Indies were dismissed for 162. India are 121 for 2 at the end of day one, having played 38 overs. Rahul is unbeaten on a half century and batting alongside Shubman Gill. That's our match summary.
Shane, it's the match summary or the day summary?
It's both.
It's both. Because I wish it was the match summary.
I so wish.
But alas, it's only the day summary and only one of the 3 days I believe that this test match will see. I don't at the moment see a 4th day over here, which means we're getting done with this test match by Saturday.
Good way to spend Sunday then.
At least you get to focus on the only one match of that day then.
India versus Pakistan, 11-0 with the hopes of making it 12-0.
12-0. But since we're here to talk about the day end, and I'll repeat, it's unfortunately not the match end, and yeah, we'll have to wait for a couple of days. But before we get into what exactly is it that we saw today or didn't see, quick thought, Shane, because there's something I saw on social media, and then many people in fact saying that the low crowd turnout, the fact that it's been scheduled so close to the heels of a tournament having just concluded, all of that put together, you got a West Indies side that is not going to be competing with India, as we know, and there's only one team playing cricket at the moment. There's a lot of conversation happening on social media about there being tier system maybe that test cricket needs.
I understand where it comes from and I understand the thought process. I mean, if you do have a tier system, you would have more competitive test cricket. But then, and you can tell me if you agree with me or disagree with me on this. It's a case of if you have a tier system, and let's say, for instance, West Indies are only playing, Pakistan or Zimbabwe, if you really want to go there, or better yet, matches against the likes of Afghanistan and Ireland, full member nations who don't really play a lot of test cricket. Let's just take that for an example. Then won't it be, you might have a very competitive test match. It might be a very competitive test series. But don't you think it will then be the case of if the tree falls in the forest and no one watches the tree fall, did the tree really fall? I think that's what it will end up doing. You'll hasten the demise of test cricket even further if you have a 2-tier system, I think.
I think my 2 cents on this, again, it's almost an extension of what is it that you said. I feel the more you move in that direction or more you talk about that, I think it'll become a case of haves versus have-nots.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be taking our sport anywhere. You see, what's been the biggest criticism about associate nations as well in recent times, or the fact that associate nations haven't been able to elevate themselves to full member nations, that only once in a couple of years will they play a top tier team. And let's say the 2024 T20 World Cup, for example, that the more these teams play, there is an associate nation in the USA that did beat a regular nation like Pakistan. So, and this conversation came up again at the start of the Asia Cup as well, where Hong Kong, Oman, UAE, they weren't able to give you that kind of a fight or that kind of that kind of entertainment that you thought that these teams could give you. And I agree with what some of the experts had said back then also, that listen, if there's only going to be once in a few months that they're going to be playing top level teams, and at times those months translate to about a year also, then it's not going to help you elevate the non-test playing nations or the associate nations. So while you will see a lot of one-sided results, I think that is something you will have to stick to, because let me just cite what is it that was once said by Sunil Chhetri. He said that if you make one of the European teams come down to India and play alongside the I-League teams or play in the ISL, 4 years later even a Bayern Munich will play, or their skill sets would have dropped and they won't be the same team, because then that supremacy sort of dies. When there's lack of competition, you become mediocre too, and that is what the case with the associate nations is at the moment. So our idea should be greater exposure. The game's prerogative should be to ensure that you give as much as exposure. You'll have to withstand all these one-sided results, but maybe that's what you need to do to be able to take the sport to the next level.
And see, I think this is an extension of the problem. You're talking about football, and I think it's an interesting time to mention the sport because, see, if you look at it from a sporting perspective, compare cricket and football, you'll realize that international teams are much stronger overall in football because obviously, one, the teams, it's the most popular sport in the world, bar none. But the other thing you have to also remember is that the club system actually allows for players to go abroad, get better, and then kind of come back and impart that experience. I mean, if you look at, just take South American nations as an example, their league systems have been shambolic for years at this point in time. It's not great. They have fan support, obviously passionate, frenzied fan support. But beyond that, if you look at the way some of those leagues are in, they're a mess. Especially in countries like Brazil, Argentina. But what do their best players do? They'll leave home at a very young age, 18, 19, they're playing football in Europe. And once they start playing football in Europe, just playing those leagues on a competitive, regular basis improves the skill set to the point where Argentina's league might not be great, but the Argentina national team is great. So with cricket, the difference here is that unfortunately the majority of the heavyweight lifting is done by the international game. Now, unless you move to more club-based club, and I highly doubt that's going to work for a simple reason that you're not going to have clubs exist to play test cricket. That ain't happening. The best you can do is then use white ball cricket as being the vehicle for that sort of a thing. But I mean, then what you have to do, unfortunately, is play matches or test series like this, even though it's really not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch, and it tells you everything that it's a festival day. It's a off for people around the country, and very few actually bother turning up for the test match.
However, there is one contradiction to this. While I agree with you, the proof lied in what we saw. There weren't a lot of fans, just a couple of hundred at best in a stadium that can accommodate 100,000, I remember. But interesting that while I was watching at the start of the day, because the current platform on which you're seeing the match being telecast on your mobile phone, unlike the Asia Cup, it does give you a number of how many people eventually turned up, not the concurrent, not the concurrent, but the eventual, the overall number. And that inside the first couple of hours, even when India were bowling, had crossed the crore mark. Now it can be a lot more in cricket, as we know, but for a series and for the turnout that we saw at the stadium, those numbers, I felt that there was a bit of a mismatch there, and that again reminded me of the fact that you give this country cricket and it will watch it.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, the other thing you have to remember is that you have to also know, it's a case of know your audience. Yeah, we've seen the Ahmedabad stadium fill out, but it's mostly for white ball games. So maybe that shouldn't have been the ideal venue to host a test series against the West Indies. You might very well have chosen a different venue. One where fans are keen to watch test cricket. You could have played it in, I don't know, Chennai. Chennai is a venue where a lot of fans are very knowledgeable. They'll turn up for good test cricket. Kolkata hasn't hosted a test in ages. Fans would turn up to watch that as well.
I can just give you a small insight into the fact that this is a knowledgeable crowd as well. Because there's something that happened at the toss, and that was cheered on by the crowd. So the crowd was very updated.
The problem is there was very few. The number is small.
But that small crowd is also very updated in terms of its cricket, and does merit the tag of being knowledgeable, I would say, because at the toss, match referee Andy Pycroft, who gets a warm welcome by the commentator of the day, and that was Ravi Shastri, and he says, match referee Andy Pycroft back in the hot seat, and
from Dubai,
all the way from Dubai, and that got a lot of cheers from the crowd. But since we have once again circled back on that match, let's try and dissect what is it that we saw. There's only one team to talk about here. Let's start with the bowling performance. Clinical?
Very clinical. I mean, it reached a point where there was at one time where Bumrah was deliberately bowling balls on the off stump because he wanted Siraj to get his fifer. Guys never gotten a fifer in India. It's unbelievable as a stat, but it's true. But see, that's how seriously they were at one point taking the match, and that's no disrespect. It's just that they knew that one way or the other they were getting these guys, and that's what happened. 162. They batted 44 overs, literally 44.1 overs. So this was a performance where they were not really picking anything, and to be told, it showed. Especially once Kuldeep came on. Siraj did the hard work in terms of getting through the top order alongside Bumrah. Once Kuldeep came in, then it was a case of, oh dear, these guys are just looking like lambs to slaughter. And yeah, I think that just set up the batting, because already if you're looking at how the pitch has deteriorated to the day, it's surprising. Very surprising.
And there was no comment on, let's say, the opposition per se. It was more to do with the pitch as well, that I said that I don't see a fourth day in this test match, at least how things stand and what I've seen so far from the two teams. Looking at the pitch as well, the pitch tells me, and the amount of turn that Kuldeep got, that one wicket which everyone's talking about on social media, absolutely cleaned up the batter. Can't remember who the batter was, but right through the gate, the ball turns almost square, and so
I think that was Shea Hope, yeah.
One of the more experienced batters in Shea Hope being stunned with that absolute beauty. But the way that Warrican was bowling as well later on, and these patches, day one, red soil, we were talking about this being a green wicket, but the deterioration has happened very quickly. And yes, there was a bit of rain. Yes, the sun came out, but I wasn't expecting this pitch to deteriorate how quickly that it has. And I saw the ball turn a lot when Warrican was bowling, was bowling as well. So that on top, just tells me to add that on top of everything that we've just spoken about as well. That just tells me that it's going to be even more difficult for this West Indies side to bat again, for some of the Indian batters as well, because I don't see India batting a second time in this test match.
Oh no, second time is probably not happening. I mean, if they bat the way they are, the way they're going right now, they're mixing good cricketing shots with usually just being patient. If they keep batting this way, I think they can easily get to about 400, 500, and then that's it. You're sorted. Because the pitch is only going to get tougher. And don't forget, India have 3 spin options on a dirt bowl kind of a pitch, which is exactly what this is on its way to becoming. We know Ravindra Jadeja can also be a handful to manage. He'll keep darting it in quick, and then he'll get it to turn square as well. So that's very, very tough to play. He obviously didn't bowl much in the first innings. He wasn't needed to. 3 overs, that's it. But in the second innings, you might just see that the spinners end up taking on majority of the workload. That's how it's going to be. The only reason the Pacers bowled as much as they did today is because you knew that there was going to be some early movement. There was moisture on the pitch.
And that's what takes me back to the toss. And I remember chatting with you earlier in the day. It baffled us then, and it continues to baffle me even till date, as to how is it that the visitors won the toss. And this is, by the way, Shubman Gill, I was looking, I think 6th consecutive time that he lost the toss also.
Yeah, correct, actually, because he lost all five in England, and this is the 6th.
Yeah. So now, so West Indies just deciding to shoot themselves in the foot. This should have been, the kind of pitch that would have enabled its bowlers to go ahead and have a crack, maybe put India in some sort of pressure, make use of the conditions, but clearly they read it wrong, the conditions.
Yeah, I mean, they went for what is the traditional idea in test, right? When the toss bat first, you don't want to be batting fourth on what is a deteriorating track. But see, that's a generous assumption because they thought they'd be batting fourth. I don't see that happening. Either which way, they were probably batting once, which wouldn't have really made much of a difference. So I think knowing that, you could have just said, yeah, okay, you know what, we expect some assistance for the seamers. Let's get in there. And we know this Indian team, even with 8 batters, are susceptible to a collapse on occasion.
Yeah.
Could have gone for it. If you didn't lose, what is the harm? You were not in with a chance or much of a chance of winning the test match anyway. Could have just gone for it. But now that they haven't, and this is familiar territory for India. See, they'll come out to bat tomorrow. They'll put the roller on the pitch. Yeah. I think for an hour or so, they'll have decent batting conditions. They'll milk it. After that, it's about grinding, stay patient. I think they bat all the way through tomorrow. They'll easily get to about 400 out. And after that, they're not going to stop batting until they're bowled out.
Yeah, this is actually a very good platform now for a few batters to get their numbers in place, and I include a KL Rahul who did good, by the way, for himself in England. I'm not trying to take a dig at him in any which way.
No, he actually was decent.
Yeah, he was very, very good. In fact, the start that he's given to this Indian team, the surety with which he's in fact, just carried on from the way that he left off in England. It is an opportunity for KL Rahul as well to ensure, because his numbers still don't make for an overall good reading. England numbers in isolation, very good, not just this series, but earlier as well. He did have a couple of centuries prior to the recent tour as well, but this now becomes an opportunity for somebody like him as well to ensure that this 53 converts into a big total. You've already gotten yourself set. Yes, he'll have to restart tomorrow. The spinners will be on, but you know by now what is it you can expect from the pitch. Early on, if the pitch does stay covered as it was in the build up to this match as well, you probably will get a little more moisture tomorrow, and if the ball's coming onto the bat nicely, again, go ahead, give your chance and pile on a big score, get that number correction as well, and make good use of this spell that you're enjoying this time, that now you've come out of the shadows of the three veterans who gone on. In fact, just two, because primarily there were only two that he was competing against as far as a place in the 11 or a batting position comparison is concerned. So now he is a much more senior entity, and he said that during the England series as well. I remember that now that Rohit, Virat aren't there, there were a lot of youngsters who came up to me, talked to me, how is it that the ball comes, how is it, where is it that you need to be playing the ball in England. Those questions were asked to KL Rahul, and he is a senior figure now, and as you would expect of any senior figure, you do make merry once you get your eye in. So it'll be good to see both he and Shubman Gill, if they can carry on together the way that they were playing right now, and get themselves a big enough score.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing with KL. You're talking about his numbers. His overseas numbers actually make for better reading than his home numbers at times, which is very unusual for a batter. But it does also, let's say, highlight the paradox that has been KL Rahul. One of the reasons he's stuck around with the test team for so long is because he tends to have these really good performances overseas. He's done well in England, he's done well in South Africa. So you know that, the guy's got it in him to play good test cricket. In home, in conditions where you think he'd be milking the runs and actually, resuscitating an average, ensuring that his overall runs also look good. He's never been able to do it. I think now is a good opportunity as ever to get a big 100 and just, cement yourself already. See, he's first choice. But there's no harm cementing yourself in the test team in the near future. You can say, okay, look, I'm the first choice now. I want to be that guy who they turn to for big runs. I mean, being an opener in test cricket gives you that advantage that you can keep batting. You don't need to worry about getting dismissed.
Have you listened to Abhishek Nair's recent podcast about KL Rahul? No?
No.
You'll have to tell us on that.
He told it in Champions Trophy se pehle, me and Rohit sit together and we talked about the team batting order, and Rohit said to him in Hindi, भाई तो KL Rahul पे काम कर, उसके अंदर बहुत टैलेंट है भर भर के, please work on him.
This is ahead of the Champions Trophy.
Ahead of Champions Trophy.
Okay.
And Karun Nair said to Rohit,
Abhishek.
Sorry.
Yeah.
कि हाँ मैं करता हूँ, and तरुण दोनों ने
And we saw what happened.
was concerned about KL for this.
Okay, so Shivam's just giving us an excerpt of an interaction that Abhishek Nair had, and he's been around some of the Indian players for a long time. As you know, he's coaching Rohit Sharma as well, and he talks about the time that Rohit had told Abhishek at the start of, in fact, prior to the Champions Trophy, that we need to get the best out of KL Rahul. The man is just so rich on talent that we need to find a way of putting this talent to the best use, and we need to get the best out of KL Rahul. So he said that Abhishek worked very closely with KL Rahul, and we saw the dividends as well. He was, in fact, white ball cricket, I would say, Shane, that he's been very good. Even the World Cup, I remember the way that it started. You were down and out in that first match only, the curtain raiser in Chennai against Australia. You were down and out. You'd lost a couple of wickets, and KL Rahul did bail you out. So ODI cricket, I think there has been for a while now a sense of surety around KL Rahul. But what he's managed to achieve for himself in red ball cricket, make use of the right opportunity which has come his way. You needed some experience. The team management did turn to him. Stalwarts were gone, and he does exactly what is expected out of him.
In fact, I read what's written here, and I'll go back to another thing which I remember also. He's saying, so I'll read the quote since Shivam has managed to find it. So Nair was in an interview, he said that when I first picked up that role, I remember that role he's referring to as the India batting coach. Remember, he lost the role eventually, and it was in the but now, of course, he's speaking from that point of view. So he said, when I first picked up that role, I remember I had a conversation with Rohit, and he said that one of the things he was really keen on me doing was working with KL Rahul and bringing out a more aggressive outlook to how he played the game and bringing the best out of him, because he strongly believed that KL would play a major role in the Champions Trophy, World Cup, and everything going forward, including the BGT and the tests in England, which is in hindsight true. Also, I need to go back. I remember this is when KL had started the IPL season this year. It started on a very good note for Delhi. I am on one of the interviews, he actually did give a special shout out or mention to Abhishek Nair. So obviously, I think Nair is someone who's had a history of working with a lot of players. He was the one who retooled Dinesh Karthik to becoming the finisher that he was towards the tail end of his career. He has worked with a lot of people, and no one really has a bad thing to say about him.
KKR as well.
It says everything that when he was sacked, the first place he went back was KKR. KKR had just had that spot open for him, saying, please come back, come right back. That's how highly he's rated.
He also worked with Shreyas Iyer. Now he's working on current ODI captain Rohit Sharma.
Because Abhishek Nair is a Mumbaikar, no? So he works with a lot of those guys. Yeah, Shreyas he worked with, of course, don't forget he worked with Shreyas at KKR also, 24, 23.
Yes.
So there's always been that connection as well. Of course, Mumbai lads again. So yeah, Nair has worked on KL, done a very good job. I think now KL is also finally, I think, enjoying the benefit of having a bit of an extended run. Because otherwise he was always kind of chop in, out, pushed up the order, pushed down the order. So now at least you know that, okay, he's going to open the innings and that's his role.
Exactly. You see, what happened with KL Rahul in Australia was unfair. He started well, he tapered, but then you were also toying around with him. Rohit's coming in, Rohit's going out, and then you're changing his position accordingly.
Again.
Yeah, until the 4th test match, you say, okay, no, KL must play where he plays. Then you suddenly come back in, whatever, and then he's again.
You push Rohit down the order.
Yeah, you push
all
Rohit.
sorts
Yeah,
of...
everything was happening. There was a whole musical chairs happening in the Indian top order. But what that subsequent series in England did is give clarity to the team that they were backing the right person, and over there as well I felt KL was extremely good, very promising, but again didn't quite take it to the heights that maybe Yashasvi did, maybe a Gill also did.
Yeah.
So that went missing, but still he did himself a lot of good over there, and today also in Ahmedabad he's done himself a lot of good by settling the nerves if there were any, and listen, he's not playing all 3 formats at the moment. Remember, he's only playing 2, so it does help him in a way to be able to focus a lot more, and while the others were busy with the Asia Cup, he would have gotten the time to be able to prepare. He was, I think, with Rohit at the NCA as the two were preparing. I do remember those visuals as well. But a quick word on Jaiswal. Let's talk about his...
Jaiswal, I want to say one thing. In one sofa we have a KL Rahul admirer, and the other sofa we have a KL Rahul lover.
Very funny. Shivam, by the way, for those of you who can't hear him offline, and that would be none of y'all, said that on one side you have a KL Rahul admirer, and on the other side you have a KL Rahul lover. Now look, I understand that unfortunately or otherwise, I have a reputation of being a trasher of him. I will maintain that a lot of my criticisms were legitimate criticisms dug in such a way that it would seem like it was tongue-in-cheek. That being said, I have never denied the fact that, in certain situations, very impactful, effective player. And I think, finally he's getting a run in the position and he's rightfully doing his talent a lot of justice. That being said, the one other criticism I've had of him, he's still not corrected. And I think for that, he'll need to, the criticism was that he didn't perform in big games. He'll need to play a big game and perform in that for that criticism to be there. But so far, I'm not going to actually take anything away from him. He's done very, very well. There's no two ways about it. You're talking about Jaiswal. I think more so bigger concern than Jaiswal, Sai Sudarshan. That number 3 spot continues to be a spot of bother for India ever since they've opted out of playing Pujara. Then Pujara retired, because you'd remember that the first choice in that position was Gill. Yeah. But Gill didn't quite manage a decent run at number 3 at all. Did much better as the number 4.
He was beginning to get better.
Yeah, but
And
then
he
after
decided
that,
to move down to 4.
Yeah, then drop down to 4 after Kohli's retirement. He's done much better at 4, so that shows that I think probably that seems to be likely his future position. So in that sense, I think he's better off there. But the number 3 position worries me a lot because again, this is the kind of test match that if you are playing at number 3, take your time, just get whatever runs you can. And Sai Sudarshan, unfortunately, has had another poor outing. We're still waiting for that really good knock, and I'm not knocking the guy because we know he has it in him. He's very familiar with playing in the venue he's playing in. Also, he was had a fantastic IPL season for the Gujarat Titans, and he just needs to kind of translate his domestic form into international form, and I hope it happens because again, there's a very good player there, someone who could actually be, in that test side for a number of years if you get it right, if that clicks. We're still waiting for it to click.
Yeah, that's right. Some of his dismissals in England also weren't that inspiring, but there's a very short rope that he got in England. Today, though, I felt he was a bit tentative. He wasn't quite sure where his feet were, and didn't look strong going in front and defending the ball. I think the defense today was particularly weak, and that just tells you that technique-wise, yeah, there's still some flaws out there, and this was an underconfident batter who was there in the middle. One thing that goes in his favor is the fact that the captain of the side knows him real well and knows his potential, and we know that it's the backing of Shubman Gill also, besides the faith that the Indian selectors had in Sai, that the two of them have worked together for a couple of years now and have been rather successful as well in the IPL. But for how long is it that the Indian team go ahead with Sai Sudarshan is something that is still up for debate. But it'll be too early now to take a call now that you've tried him out, and this home season should give you some sort of clarity. And yeah, I think in the case of Sai as well, I think that will be something that will be said for him also, as was said for Karun Nair, though different age groups. But I think the promise and the opportunities, and remember, you're going to be playing 2 more matches at home after this series. I think a lot is going to depend on how is it that he plays in these 4 matches, and that determines how is it that he features for India going forward.
True, but you also have to remember, you're talking about the home test. I think he'll need a big score in the next test because after that you've got 2 tests, but those 2 tests are up against South Africa.
Yeah.
Not a mug side by any means. They are the WTC mace holders, so you'd want that you have a kind of settled team by then. And really, the only problem area for India in recent times has been number 3. That's been the big problem position.
Because I do see somebody like a Devdutt Padikkal who can take that spot as well. There are plenty of others as well. I would have taken the name of Shreyas Iyer as well, but now that we know he's himself taken a couple of steps back from Test cricket, that's not happening. There is a Sarfaraz as well, let's not forget. So plenty of batters out there, even though Sarfaraz will have to bat out of position, but you can also look at a Jurel being, looked at as just a batter once Rishabh Pant is back. So there are a lot of options, and there's always competition if you're a batter hoping to play for the Indian team.
Absolutely. Anyway, let's find out what it is that our family members have to say, and let's start with the chat from Mr. Shekhar GTEN. Goes, morning gents, good morning. To be honest, quite an unfortunate disaster was always loading for Sai when you pick IPL bullies in red ball cricket. Sai must remember how Patidar was dealt with. I mean, see, good point, but I think Sai has also done well in domestic cricket overall. I don't think he's just a...
But domestic average share is just 39.
Yeah, that in itself tells you a lot.
Yeah, that I think Shekhar makes a very, very valid point that selection was pushed because of the goods done in the IPL. And
yeah, you always good IPL performance here or there always puts you on the radar.
Yeah, you had one eye on the IPL, and in fact, I think you were very myopic in what he had to offer in domestic cricket. But you felt okay, he had runs under the belt, and there was good form, and you were looking for a number 3. You took him over there. In fact, you made a Karun Nair in the first test match bat lower than him. Karun had batted number 6, I remember, and he had come to bat at number 3. So yeah, but for how long do you keep trusting white ball numbers? that is something now that'll be the selectors, that selectors will be put to test on.
Exactly. And as African Awesome says, boring. This is why I said we need to play on pacer-friendly wickets. I do think, if you had pacer-friendly wickets, it might have evened the contest out a bit. But, I mean, look, that's still a different debate for a different time. Do you want to manipulate the surfaces to that extent? I remember us hating, and rightfully so, the fact that you were producing such horribly spinner-friendly wickets at one point in time.
Especially the second and the third test against New Zealand.
It was bad, my God. Yeah. Priyanshu says, and see, it actually goes back to our earlier debate. Please divide Test cricket into 2 tiers ASAP. West Indies, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Zimbabwe, Ireland should play among themselves. But I mean, see, again, that will end up, unfortunately.
We've actually spent a lot of time, Priyanshu. I do have a feeling you joined us late. In fact, we started this conversation dedicating...
I think his chat comes in the start. So he was,
yeah. We dedicated a good 10 minutes to it. Hanji Shibam.
This is the first test series where Rocco is
not just Rocco and Ashwin.
And Ashwin. It's the first test series, Shivam, in fact, since 2010.
Correct.
That there is no Ravichandran Ashwin in the test squad or the test 11.
fan-wise, they're a big factor
But I think, I don't think...
So I'm saying maybe one of the reasons why there has been a lower turnout is because the fans have possibly lost a reason to be there. There is no Virat Kohli
Sure, but I also do remember this is the same Ahmedabad where,
World Cup first match?
No, World Cup first match. No, the test match, BGT,
Okay.
2023. You needed a draw, and actually you got the draw. But that test match also was the final test. That could have been a good result.
You're talking about the one in which the head of the states were also there.
Yes, and also the one where, remember, they produced such a flat road that everyone and their dogs were getting hundreds.
Yeah.
So that test match also, I don't remember the turnout being great. Aside from the day you mentioned when the head of states were there wasn't much of a turnout even then. So I don't think it has an impact, sure, but play the same match in some place where people actually want to watch test cricket more, and you still have people turning up. Sadly, you've not really had people, turning up like that. Yeah. Sadly. In fact, Vinod says that Sai Sudarshan and Karun Nair have the same numbers and both actually look the same in the UK. Karun floated around the batting lineup and was even dropped for the test. Why has Karun been dropped for this series then? Sai averages below 40 in first class. So his average is 39. Yeah. So that's the thing. I understand. I think for Karun, the only reason I can think of is that Sai is younger. So provides a higher upside. Karun unfortunately needed to be amazing, and sadly he wasn't. Yeah. Sadly he wasn't. Yeah. In fact, as DP says that Sai has not looked good in even one innings of his international test career. I sadly have to agree. Aditya Kavlekar going a little cheeky saying Karun must be thinking this is a 100 missed. Very, 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 very funny, but also very true. Yeah. Very true. Freaking Awesome says the BGT series revived KL Rahul's test career. Much better now in this format. I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. Looking so short.
Absolutely. Scroll slightly down. Yeah, I wanted to see that one from Vinod that caught my eye earlier. He's saying that a Baba Indrajit, who's also a Tamil Nadu player like Sai, averages 51 in first class cricket and has been toiling in domestic for 10 years or 12 years with close to 100 game. What's wrong with him, and how is it that Sai with an average of 39 is ahead of him? I think, Vinod, the answer to your own question, age comes in. But if you're talking about, I don't think they take those numbers that seriously, if I'm being quite frank with you, because then otherwise you'd have no reason to drop an Abhimanyu Iswaran.
A Sarfaraz. There were critics saying that he doesn't look an athlete and all. You can't say any of that. The numbers are still intact. The guy is playing domestic cricket since the time you mandated, or even when you hadn't mandated.
He was always playing.
Always playing, and now also he's playing local tournaments as well.
He was playing Buchi Babu prior, and Buchi Babu was taken very seriously in Mumbai circles.
Exactly.
Right? And he was piling on the runs in Buchi Babu. Unfortunate, I think he picked up an injury that kind of put him. Otherwise, he would have been a very good contender for that middle order conundrum as well. But Vinod, to answer your question, I think the main reason is age. They are not looking at players who are a certain age bracket because you've had, although it might not be the worst thing in the world to bring in domestic stalwarts, I do agree with you. But I don't think they take those numbers that seriously. That's a debate for a whole other time. Yeah. Absolute whole other time. Scroll down. Let's see if there's anything more to be taken. No.
We'll take the final comment now.
Final comment from Priyanshu.
Priyanshu.
Yes. After watching this, the Asia Cup trophy drama seems interesting. Sadly, I will agree with you.
I
there.
think you got the best soap opera of the year already.
Yeah, they can actually give it a good name, and we'll make it an Indian one since Pakistani ones are banned here. So,
Where is it?
Priyanshu again.
He wants to know some good food place in Delhi. Pranshu, I'm glad firstly you are asking me this and not Siddharth Vishwanathan.
He would not. He would tell you something rubbish.
He
like
would send
Mumbai
you
food is
Mumbai,
better.
yeah. But Priyanshu, you just
Blasphemy.
need to narrow this down a bit more because good food is just so many things. So if you're looking for non-vegetarian, if you're looking for North Indian, South Indian, what is it? You need to be a little more specific. We'll always obviously get back. So unless you're with us right now and you come back with a comment very quickly because this is just very vague to begin with. Just a good
Best food in Delhi. I mean, you can go to any locality in Delhi, chuck a stone at a restaurant, and you'd probably end up eating good food in Delhi.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing, Siddharth, isn't it? He'd be talking some mumbo jumbo nonsense
He
about
would
how
have said
vada
some
pav is
place,
better than
Brahmaputra market, he would say, go there.
Brahmaputra market is good.
It's-
If he had suggested Brahmaputra market, I'd have been impressed. He wouldn't have suggested Brahmaputra market. He would have suggested Sector 18. Priyanshu says veg and North Indian. Hey,
Oh, he
loads
said,
of
okay,
places.
veg in North Indian.
Loads
Go
of
go
places.
try out Gulatis, yaar. Go have the veg.
Gulatis,
See,
even the chicken is
chicken,
great.
yeah, but try the veg Gulati to begin with. It's in Pandara Road, the heart of the city. Go there, have the dal makhni there, and I'm pretty sure you'll be thanking me later.
There are lots of good places. There's that. You can have Pandara Road. There's 2-3 restaurants all in the same area. You try any of them, you will not be disappointed.
Old restaurants in CP also, na, for North Indian, from Dal.
There are old ones. I can't remember the names,
There's
but he's right.
Kake the Dhaba as well, but again, more so for its chicken and non-vegetarian delicacies. But yeah, the dal there extremely good.
Dhanush, by the way, being a little sarcastic, saying that if Easwaran was an IPL star, he'd have played Test cricket like the 39 first-class average batter. Blame Easwaran for not taking T20 IPL seriously, playing Test. I mean, I do agree with this sentiment to an extent that I do think you should focus purely. If you've reached a point now where you've incentivized domestic cricket to an extent that if you play a full season, you'll get this much money, then take those performances seriously also, no?
Yeah.
Please take those performances seriously. I wholeheartedly agree with you, yeah? Anyhow, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. We've spoken of food. I suddenly am reminded this is also time for evening snack.
Snacks, yeah.
Anyhow, there was day one of, I think, what looks like a 3-day test match to me. If you're joining us right now, do go back all the way. We've tried putting things into perspective, breaking the first day down for you. We will return now tomorrow. For now, it's Nandri, Shubhratri, Shabba Khair. Tomorrow, we'll start the day with the morning wrap. And as I had also said earlier in the day, our policy now for these 2 test matches will be to go big right at the end of the day. You'll keep getting updates from us if there's a rain interruption, if there's overs lost, if there's a milestone achieved, if there's anything breaking, we'll be coming live to you. But for a proper analysis, for a proper catch up and a detailed view of the day's play, we'll be coming to you live every time towards the end of the day. So that should be around 5:20. There isn't any forecast of more rain interruptions going forward, so it'll be 5 o'clock on the subsequent days. For now, thank you so much for your company. Nandri, Shubhratri, Shabba Khair, eat your vegetables, and
Don't trouble your mother.
bye-bye.